ladies and gentlemen.
Hard-boiled Haggerty in the ring now.
Today's the heyday of the pretty boy. Kowalski is called killer for Humphrey Gene Stanley of Chicago.
She likes it. Oh, boy, that can hurt.
Right here at ringside while we go in for a riot of roughhouse that's flatly called wrestling.
I was an Army Ranger. For 8 years, I got 253 jumps, parachute jumps, one combat jump, jumped into the island of Grenada. Matter of fact, it's the lowest military parachute jump in history. We jumped at 500 feet. But after I jumped out of the plane and they were shooting at us, I'm thinking maybe we could have did this at 250. I thought 500 was a little too high. When I was in the 2nd grade, back then, you know, the teacher would ask everybody at the beginning of the year, what do you want to be? And everybody wanted to be firemen and astronauts. They said, what do you want to be? I want to be a wrestler. And everybody looked at me like I'm crazy. So all through school, everybody knew that I wanted to wrestle. Matter of fact, I wrestled in high school at 98 pounds my freshman year. I was about that big around. And I didn't have to make weight. Most of the guys, every match, they would have to run around the gym with sweatsuit, plastic bags on, trying to lose weight. I'm eating a Hershey bar because I didn't need to make weight. I didn't weigh that much. I went to a wrestling match down in Savannah, Georgia. And in between the matches, saw one of the wrestlers standing down there. It was Pez Watley. Pistol Pez Watley, God rest his soul. And I went down and talked to him about, you know, getting into professional wrestling. And he told me that Thunderbolt Patterson was going to start a wrestling school. I went to Atlanta, talked to Thunderbolt Patterson, and he said he agreed to train me. I'm still in the Army at this point. I took my 30-day leave, vacation, drove up to Atlanta, trained with Thunderbolt Patterson. Then I went back, did the other 2 months, and I got out. Went to Cartersville, Georgia. Ted Allen had a wrestling school. I trained with him. Then he took me, introduced me to Jody Hamilton, who was the assassin, and went down to his wrestling school, worked out. So he said, I want to put you on the TV. We're going to be wrestling that Sunday, live TV at the Cobb Civic Center in Marietta, Georgia. That was my very first match. And it was against Ted Allen, the mass nightmare. God rest his soul. That's how I got into business. I really didn't fear anybody. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I think I was most humble when I worked with Dick Slater. I mean, this was a guy that I watched when I was a kid. God rest his soul too. I liked the way he worked. And everybody always told me that, you know, how good he was. And I didn't, you know, so I'm looking forward to that. That time they said, okay, you're gonna work with Dick Slater. And it was like, he was good. And the next one was Bob Orton Jr. I got to work with him. That guy was even better. The best one would have probably been with Ted Allen. He had so much knowledge, historian. I would go over to his house and we would sit and watch wrestling matches, and he would break it down like a football coach. He would stop it, rewind it, and watch it and say, now watch this, watch this. And the match that he used as a training tool, Tommy Siegler against Dickie Steinborn, the greatest match you ever seen. You know, working with Ted, him training me, and then getting in the ring and working with him, my best match would have been with Ted. It was called the combat kick. It was a side savate kick because, you know, I did martial art, kickboxing and stuff like that. So that was a natural finish, you know, the combat kick. It was May the 2nd, I think, 1989. was down in New Orleans at the Superdome. So when I found out we were going to work at the Superdome, I went to the office and I talked to Jim Hurd. He was the head of WCW, and told him I want to do this Australian rappel from the top of the Superdome down to the ring as my entrance. And he said, the insurance alone will cost $1 million. And he said, no, we can't do that. And I said, but just think, if I mess up and I splatter and I hit the ground, I said the ratings are going to go through the roof, you know? So he gets on the phone and he calls the lawyers. I think they was on the 16th floor, and he asked them if they could do it. And they said, yeah. And they said, can you get a policy? They said, yeah. So he said, okay, you on, what do you need? Told him I needed a couple of Army Rangers that was still on active duty down at Fort Benning. And I went down, talked to my buddies, got them on board. He told me to get anything I wanted. So the day before the Clash of the Champions, they opened the Superdome for us. They had a couple of the producers and directors from WCW there. They had the riggers, the guys that hang the lights and all of that stuff. The Rangers that I brought with me, one of them was my safety to make sure that everything was hooked up, and the other one was the safety on the ground. So I told him I was going to do this with one hand. I had the American flag in this hand and the rope in this hand. So I leaned out and I just jumped, come face down, just flat down like I'm free falling. Get close to the ground, put on the brakes and stand up. Those guys go, man, you crazy. They said, but what we're going to do is we're going to put a spotlight here and a light here, and we'll shoot it this way. So we get back to the hotel room and we check in the rope that I was using, and it almost burned in half. So we figured that we could get a new rope, bound it up with some electrical tape. So the next day we get to the building. We got there before the show. We had to go back up the elevator all the way up to the top, rappel down to the scoreboard. So we're sitting on this catwalk, me and my buddy, the Ranger guy. And we had to sit there to watch everybody come in. I'm going to be the 5th match against the Iron Sheik. And they start playing my intro music. It's called K-Song Go Rolling On. Dun, 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 dun. So they start playing the music. I'm waiting on the spotlight. No spotlight. I'm waiting. The song is about halfway through. I told the guys, I'm going. And so I jumped and I start coming down. And there was a little aisleway right there by the ring. And the people are looking up and they could see me coming down, and they were scattering like ants. So I come down, put on the brakes, go into the ring, no spotlight, work with the Iron Sheik, match is over. We did all of that, all the preparation, no spotlight. The guy that was supposed to do the spotlight and all that stuff, they fired him. I'm a little sad as to what it's come to. I think the younger guys now, they get on the profanity and all that. It's not necessary. It's not going to help the business at all. I was a big fan of Les Thornton, the man of 1,000 holes. And I would practice, for every move there was a counter move. So he was a man of 1,000 holes. I wanted to be the man of 2,000. Whenever he was on TV, I would have to watch him, and then I would have to practice on my brothers. I had twin brothers, younger brothers, so I would wear one of them out and get the other one. They see me coming, they just start running. It's good to keep the tradition going on, for younger people to come and meet some of the older wrestlers, because as you can see, a lot of the older wrestlers are dying out in large numbers. And it's a chance for all of us to get together and talk about the new wrestling, the old wrestling, and some of the younger guys get a chance to talk to the older guys to see what it was like and all of that. And this is a good organization. I love the way they got it set up, and the meet and greet and the memorabilia and stuff like that. It's a good thing. I'd like to remember as somebody that could work, and that I didn't hurt anybody, and I try to treat everybody with respect. Try to share the gospel with people. I'm a preacher also, and somebody just love the business I love the business. I like to be remembered as a guy that was good at what he did, you know, and try to respect everybody and try to love everybody. That's about it.